Hey friends, welcome back to the channel Merly on Time. Today I'm going to give you my thoughts and review of this 100-meter sports diver by the Ugly Watch Company. My thanks again go out to Watch Wit for connecting me with the owner Landon, and of course to Landon for trusting me with this watch to review. As always, I would love to hear your feedback in the comments below. And as you watch this video, please be sure, if you enjoy it, to give me a thumbs up as well. And if you haven't subscribed, why don't you consider doing that even now? That would be awesome. So let's get into this one. Just after the intro, we'll get into the up close and personal. Enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed the up close and personal of this watch, which I think is really fantastic overall. A couple of minor gripes with this one, which we will get to shortly, but overall, a really good piece here. But let's begin with the name of the company, the Ugly Watch Company. Definitely an unusual way to brand your watch, and I asked the owner, Landon, about this, and here was his reply. So, ugly. I used to make silver jewelry and loved making skull rings. Anyway, I was working on this one ring and I couldn't leave it alone. It was one of those projects that you know what you were making but could not see it finished. I guess I had gotten on my wife's last nerve, and after showing her every little change I made and asking her thoughts on this or that, she just burst out, "Get that ugly jewelry out of here." So in spite, I told her that I was going to use Ugly as my name, and it carried over to the Ugly Watch Company. And being Norwegian, I used the Norse Ruin U as our logo. So what are you getting with this watch? You are getting a very well-made and well-spec'd out watch for your money. It's a 42 by 22. That 22 millimeter wide band does taper to 20 at the clasp. You are getting a watch that is 12.6 millimeters thick and a very wearable under 50 millimeter lug-to-lug distance on that. When they release this later this month, in the month of April, their opening price is going to be $349 US, which will be for 30 days, and then the price will go up afterward. And so if this is something that you're interested in, just be mindful on the website of when these ones drop and get it in at the early bird price. For $349, you are getting a watch constructed of 316L stainless steel. That's everything except for the aluminum bezel insert. The bracelet is a Jubilee style bracelet. It is solid. It's 22 millimeters at the lugs, tapering to 20 at the clasp. You have a branded clasp with a fold over safety lock, 2 pushers to open it up. And you can see it is a nice milled clasp. The bracelet has solid links. It has solid end links. It has screw pins for adjusting the bracelet as well, which is really nice to remove the links, very easy to do. The clasp has 3 micro adjusts on it, which is a little wider than a single link to be removed, and so it ensures that you are going to be able to get a really good fit on your wrist. The bracelet is finished with a combination of brushing and polished surfaces, and so you can see that the inner links here are polished, the outer links are brushed, and then the edge of the bracelet is polished as well. The watch case, as I mentioned, is also 316L stainless steel. It's fully brushed on the sides as well as on the top of the lugs, and the finishing is done quite well. And the case shape, just have a look at this case shape. This case shape is definitely what attracted me to this watch. That thick, chunky look and the shape of those lugs is definitely unique, and in my opinion, it looks fantastic and it gives a great wrist presence on the wrist. The bezel on the watch is a 120 click unidirectional bezel, has a bit of a coin edge on it, and it is brushed, finished as well, matching the case, which is nice to see. Aluminium bezel insert with a lume pip at the 24-hour spot, military time, with even numerals painted around the bezel and batons in place for the odd numerals. It is a 120 click unidirectional bezel, which we will come back to in just a moment. Now, moving on to the crown, you do have a really nice crown here, nice size crown, coin edge on it, really easy to unthread, get a grip on, unthread, and rethread. The action on the crown is really nice and smooth. There is a slight pop when it comes out to position number 1. This will enable you to manually wind the movement by turning the crown clockwise. Pulling the crown out, there is a slight click. When you pull the crown out to position 2, this will enable you to change the GMT hand and the date. So to change the date, you simply rotate the crown counterclockwise or toward you, and that will enable you to change the date. And by rotating the crown clockwise, you can change 1 hour at a time the GMT hand. And of course, when you pull it out to the 3rd position, it will stop the seconds hand, and it will enable you to adjust the hour and the minute hand on your watch as well. Rethreads very nicely. As I said, no grittiness. Action is very smooth, and so the crown on this watch is done very, very well. And now this is a GMT watch, and it is housing the Seiko NH34 movement, which is definitely nice to see. Like the NH35, this one beats at 21,600 beats per hour, giving the seconds hand a nice sweeping motion of 6 ticks per second, has a 41-hour power reserve, and a stated accuracy tolerance of -20 to +40 seconds per day, I believe. If I got that wrong, forgive me. This particular watch that I have running in hand, or that I have in hand, is running at about 10 seconds slow per day. Moving on to this dial, you have a beautiful mother of pearl blue dial. Just see that there? Absolutely gorgeous mother of pearl dial on this one. All of the indices are applied and they're lume filled. The date window at the 3 o'clock with a white date wheel to match the color of the indices, framed with a beveled edge and metal border. All of the indices, as you can see, are also framed with a metal border, and they are high polish finish on those. You have a red accented GMT hand with a triangle at the end, which is also lume filled. And you have a polished metal framed hour hand and a red minute hand, also with lume in them. Now, wrapping around this dial is this white rehaut, which I think is absolutely perfect for this watch. You have minute track printed on it with 5-minute intervals, red batons at each of the 5-minute intervals. And I think this white rehaut was the perfect choice to give some accent to this watch, not only to give it some accent color, but to accentuate the other colors on the watch as well. You have the ugly watch company logo They're printed at the 12 o'clock and 100 meter GMT printed above the 6 o'clock. The crystal covering the dial is a sapphire crystal, and it does have AR coating applied to it, which obviously aids to the legibility in the sunlight and other lighting conditions. The case back is a screw down stainless steel case back with the world, as you can see, etched onto it, matching the theme of the GMT function that the watch provides. And the watch does come with 100 meters, as you can see printed there, of water resistance. Last but not least, here is the lume shot. And I'm happy to say that the lume on this watch is really quite good. So as you can see, the lume starts off really strong and bright, and I'm impressed that the lume pip and the GMT triangle that you can see there at about the 5 o'clock does last throughout the entire time-lapse video. Unfortunately, my camera decided not to pick up some of the glow once it passes that GMT hand, but I can say that this lume does last for the 20-minute time-lapse as well as several hours into the evening. Great lume. So overall, guys, you are getting a really well-made, great-looking watch with that mother of pearl dial. That white rehaut, just absolutely beautiful in my opinion. And for the $349 price point, you are getting what you would expect. And this, I believe, is a fair price for this one. So with all of that, let's go to my likes and my gripes section of the review. So it's time for my likes and my gripes. So let's begin with what I like about the watch. I like the NH34 movement. I really love this mother of pearl dial that the watch comes with. The case shape and the design of this one really attracted me to this piece and the initial impressions that I had of it. The crown action is really good. Solid Jubilee bracelet that this one comes with, which was a great choice. That white rehaut on the watch looks awesome, framing that dial. And of course, the wrist presence. This thing just absolutely looks great on the wrist. So those are my likes. I think it's a fantastic watch. Here are the gripes, none of which are deal breakers, but I had to point these out nonetheless. First gripe is the bezel action on this. The bezel is very difficult to grip and turn. I'll just let you have a listen to it now. So it does have solid clicks. The bezel does line up perfectly. The coin edge bezel that they do utilize is hard to grip, and it is a bit stiff to turn. Now the good news is once you set the bezel, there's no chance of this bezel moving whatsoever. But if you do want to utilize the bezel to track a third time zone on the watch, then it will be a little bit tricky to adjust. It's just a little stiff. The 100 meter GMT printing on that dial, someone did mention this in the unboxing, and I do agree with them. I'm not a huge fan of just the white bordering around that. This is just a personal preference type of thing. And the minute hand, I think it would have been better if they had the minute hand with a high polished metal border around it to distinguish it from the GMT hand. Being the same color as the GMT hand might be a bit confusing at a glance. And I think if it matched the hour hand, it would distinguish it apart from the GMT hand on it. And so, guys, that's it. Those are my gripes. None of these gripes are real deal breakers. And I think overall, you are getting a fantastic piece for the money. So thanks so much, guys, for tuning in to another review. If you did like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure to leave me a comment and let me know what you think of the Ugly Watch Company. And remember, whenever you leave your house, you need to have a great looking piece to wear on your wrist, like this 100 meter GMT Sport Diver by the Ugly Watch Company. And remember, wherever you're going, to get there on time. God bless you guys. We'll see you again in the next one.